Broncos country. What is popping, man? Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you guys enjoying a beautiful day. A little cool out, but nice and sunny here in Denver. And checking out the weather for tomorrow's massive week 7 matchup against the Giants. Man, it is going to be the perfect football weather. Mid 70s, sunny. You got to love it. You got to love it in Colorado, where, you get into October, you get into November. You always find yourself playing football and the weather's really nice. I feel like the national media always thinks it's going to be like, freezing and snowing here, but it rarely is. So beautiful weather for football tomorrow, man. Super excited about the game. And, obviously, man, we'll see. We'll see if we'll see how this team rebounds, right? The big topic of the last few days was, some of the comments that Jonathan Cooper made post practice. I went back and kind of watched it, and it was a little bit of a jab. I think what he had realized is he said something and it came off maybe a little bit worse than he had intended. So instead of kind of backtracking, he kind of just went with it. But I don't necessarily like it. And I'm surprised, honestly, that it came from somebody like Jonathan Cooper. I don't think Sean Payton liked it much either. I think it was a little bit of just a little too much of a dig, which I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of. But, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up firing up the Giants to the point where they have improved play. We'll see if it ends up firing up the Broncos defense in a sense if it had improved play or if it affects either team. I really think at the end of the day, once the whistle blows and the game starts, it'll all kind of be in the rearview mirror, but we'll see. It definitely is going to fire up Jackson Dart a little bit more too, right, than anticipated. So we will see. But overall, guys, I mean, when you look at this game, I really like the way in which the Broncos match up against the Giants in certain ways, right? I mean, like, it's our strength against their strength, which is a good thing, right? You don't want to have a clear deficiency versus a clear strength of theirs. So it's good there. And then in the other areas, in terms of, the pass catchers, the weapons around the quarterback itself, the head coach, all of those different areas, I think we have pretty big advantage in, especially with, Darius Slayton missing this game, Malik Neighbors obviously injured. Their main pass catchers are guys that we should be able to make sure that we hone in and that we really limit. I think one of the X factors, I talked about this in a video yesterday, I think one of the X factors is going to be Theo Johnson for the Giants. He's been somebody that's really been playing well for them this year, especially in the red zone. He's a big body tight end, and we've had our struggles in the past with tight ends. So he's someone that I think we really need to lock and hone into. But otherwise, I feel like we can really keep a lot of that passing game at bay if we play the style of defense that I feel like we should. But, let's get into some of the key players like we had talked about. And that's kind of what it is. I think that there's 5 Broncos that are keys to beating the Giants. And it was tough to pick just 5. I think that there's a few very obvious ones, right? Like, obviously, Bo Nix has to play well every week. He's always going to be a key player to this game, right? So I didn't include him on this list. But I'm going to start with Troy Franklin at number 5 because I feel like Troy Franklin, man, is somebody that he's really taken a big leap from his rookie year. He's shown a lot of really good flashes so far this season. And if the Giants are going to play man coverage like you anticipate them to, at least they're going to play man more than other teams that played the Broncos against man. Troy Franklin is someone that can get that separation and that I really think can have a big game against this Giants secondary. Understandably so, I think the Giants are going to hone in on Courtland Sutton. They're going to focus all their attention on Court, double teaming him, and making sure that other guys beat him. They also have a really good linebacker, Bobby Okereke, who I don't really know how he is in coverage, but he's somebody that can handle tight ends pretty well, and that might be able to give Evan Ingram a little bit of fits. But that opens up the opportunity for Troy Franklin to really get going. And what I really like about the way in which Sean Payton's treating Troy Franklin this year is he's putting him in the slot and he's putting him outside. He's kind of moving him all over the field, really trying to get him as many advantageous matchups as he possibly can. And so I like that. I like the fact that he's gonna be used in different positions, and we got to find those mismatches. But man, I think Troy Franklin's got an opportunity to have a really big game, and I think he's going to be one of the keys. Whether it's him or somebody else other than Court, we need to have production from somebody. Against the Colts, Troy Franklin had 8 catches, 89 yards. We need to have that kind of game plan this week. We need to really get Troy Franklin going, whether it's on the bubble screens, whether it's on the deep shots, intermediate routes, whatever it might be. I think he can gain separation. I think he's going to be a major key to this. Number 4 for me is Jonathan Cooper. I think for obvious reasons. Firstly, you want him to back up that trash talk, right? He kind of initiated it. He's one of the leaders. He's the captain on this team. And he's obviously having a phenomenal season. But so not just because of the trash talking in terms of it's key for him to have a big game, but he's going to need to win his matchups because, Andrew Thomas is going to be handling Nick Bonito a lot on the left side of that offensive line. Andrew Thomas is an elite player, and not to think that Nick Bonito can't get his, but Jonathan Cooper is going to have to make the most out of his opportunity on the other side against their right tackle, Illuminor. He's had a good year. He's been pretty solid for the Giants. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities for Jonathan Cooper to be able to wreck this game. And also, not just the pass rush does he need to be effective, but he's really good at setting the edge. He's going to have to set the edge very solidly against Cam Scatterbo, who's had a really solid rookie season and has been playing really well lately. He's somebody that I think is gonna have to have a huge game, personally. And on the flip side, man, you talk about Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles, in my opinion, has had an all-pro level season. He's been amazing. He's going to go up against Brian Burns. I think Brian Burns is the best pure pass rusher that he's gone up against so far this year. He's been a phenomenal player for the Giants, got like 6 sacks. And so I think that keeping him at bay, similarly to Andrew Thomas against Nick Bonito for the Giants, is going to be a major key. Like I said, Garrett Bowles has been really good, but this is going to be a hell of a test for Garrett. And so he's going to have to really hold it down. And it's super important for him to hold it down because you've got, Alex Polcheski next to him now at left guard, talking about, the first game he's ever played and really started at left guard. He's pretty inexperienced in playing the guard position. So he's going to have to cover up a lot of that and make his life a lot easier because, if he's getting beat, it's going to make Alex Polcheski a lot more susceptible and vice versa. So he's going to have to do a lot of covering up. So Garrett Bowles is going to have a huge game. I think he's up for the task this week, and I'm looking forward to it. But Garrett Bowles has to have a big game. He's got to have a big game. In my opinion, I think he's, like I said, man. You eliminate. This Giants team's already kind of banged up in certain areas, but their pass rushers are very deep. Now we'll see if Abdul Carter ends up playing, but you're able to eliminate Brian Burns from the equation. If Abdul Carter doesn't play, it's basically just Kayvon Thibodeau. Now their pass rush is not nearly as lethal as it once was. So I think it's going to be a big game for Garrett Bowles. And again, I'm really excited to see how he ends up playing. Getting into number 2, man, it's going to be Luke Wattenberg. We kind of say this every single week. I've always been nervous about Luke Wattenberg, but very similarly to, Garrett Bowles playing next to Alex Polcheski on the left side, you're going to have Luke Wattenberg playing next to Alex Polcheski to the right. And he's had his moments this year, right? I still think he's very solid in pass pro, which is a good thing. But he's going up against an absolute behemoth this week in Dexter Lawrence. And he is going to have to assist Alex Polcheski with Dexter Lawrence as much as possible. I think there's going to be a lot of double teams on him. And Luke Wattenberg is going to have to be really solid this week on his P's and Q's in the run game and in the pass game. If the Broncos want to establish an identity, the Broncos want to be able to run the ball well, they've got to be able to handle Dexter Lawrence in the middle. You can't always rely on the outside runs to be working for you. And it's going to be a lot on Luke Wattenberg's plate this week. It's time for him to really step up and take that next step in terms of his development, right? And this is going to be a hell of a test for him. A hell of a test. Thought he did a really good job against Philadelphia, against Jalen Carter and company, but he also doesn't have Ben Powers this week. So there could be a lot of struggles there with Luke Wattenberg. So he's going to have a monstrous game. Monstrous game for sure. No doubt about that. And then number 1, this is going to be a little bit surprising to some people, right? We are anticipating that Dre Greenlaw is going to play tomorrow. He's going to be activated on the 53. The Broncos have to make that decision before noon today. So here just in the next hour or so in terms of who they're going to be elevating. But they released Sam Ehlinger yesterday. And obviously they're expected to have him back on the practice squad. He obviously turned down other opportunities to be on 53-man rosters to stay here in Denver. So I think it's a move that makes a lot of sense. we have a practice squad spot open, I think he's just going to be relegated right back to the practice squad. But, that move shows they're trying to open up a roster spot on the 53, and I think that they're ready to have Dre Greenlaw go up there. So I anticipate Dre Greenlaw to play. I do think he's going to be fairly limited, as he should be in his first game back. But man, is it going to be so awesome to see number 57 finally in action. We didn't even see this guy in the preseason. Fans have gotten no glimpse of Dre Greenlaw. But the guy that's going to be playing next to him, Alex Singleton, it's going to be a really big game for him, man. He's going to be one of the most important players on this team, because on the reps that he is playing next to Dre Greenlaw, obviously he needs to be solid, but when he's not, he's got to continue to do his thing. And the biggest reason why I put Alex Singleton at number 1 is because you've got Cam Scatterbo and you've got Jackson Dart, 2 guys that are capable of beating you with their legs. He has to be extremely solid in the run game, right? Cam Scatterbo is someone that could run through you, man. He wants to put his helmet in your chest. So Alex Singleton's got to be up for the task. I want to see him really play the run well and also be a good quarterback spy on Jackson Dart. That is something that I think Alex Singleton's actually pretty good at. He's got some speed and some quickness to be able to keep up with a lot of these quarterbacks. So it's going to be a lot of responsibility on him to keep this running game at bay. And that's one of the biggest keys to the game in general is, can you stop the Giants' run game and force Jackson Dart to beat you with his arm, with a depleted, receiver core around him? You do that, you are increasing your chances of winning and being successful very, very much. So I think Alex Singleton's there's going to be a lot on him, even with the return of Dre Greenlaw. How solid is he going to be, right? And I'll make the case that Justin Sternad has been the best inside linebacker that we've had so far this year. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with him, right? Do we kind of mix? Do we still be sure to mix him in? Because I think he's really good against the run. He's very good at blitzing with 3.5 sacks this year. So I don't want to see him not play anymore. I think that there's a lot of things that Justin Sternad does well. But, man, is it going to be nice to see not Garrett Wilson. Man, is it going to be nice to see Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton out there for the Broncos. But, yeah, big week for Alex Singleton again. And, he takes a lot of slack, deservedly so, for a lot of things that he does. I felt like he's played much better the last few weeks. I thought he's been really solid. But you got to give the guy his credit, man. I mean, the effort, the playing with your hair on fire, the way that he juices up the defense. Alex Singleton brings a lot of positives to this team, especially when he's utilized in a role that he's comfortable with. If you're going to ask Alex Singleton to constantly be dropping back in cover, running backs or tight ends, then yeah, he's going to have his vulnerabilities. But if you're going to ask him to really play the run game, spy the quarterback, and just really play the middle of the field and not so much sideline to sideline, I think Alex Singleton's a really good player and somebody that's going to be able to continue to be productive for the Broncos. But super pumped to see how Dre Greenlaw come back, man. I think it's going to be awesome. Love to know what y'all think. Let me know below in the comments or in the comments here on the live stream. But man, I don't know what it is. Like, and even it was well before Jonathan Cooper made the comments that he did. I'm so juiced up for this game. I don't know why. I just feel like maybe it's because the Broncos have been on the road for the last few weeks, and it's just nice to have them back at home. But I really feel like this Giants team is an exciting team. They're a fun team to play. I think it's going to be a really good, entertaining game. But again, if the Broncos can come out focused and they can, do the very simple things. It's simple on paper, but obviously execution's hard. But they can stop this run game and they can force Jackson Dart to beat him. I think it's going to be a really good game for this Broncos team, which is why I do have them winning by double digits in this one, ultimately. But we're gonna have to see. I don't like all the trash talk, the back and forth. I really don't. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting too. We need to, it's going to be a big key to see if Abdul Carter ends up playing. Right? I was just looking at this tweet by Ian Rappaport, and I'll go ahead and I'll share it here. Move myself over and share the screen so y'all can see it. But these are the Giants that did not travel to Denver with the team. Darius Slayton, like we had known, linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. Don't know much about him. I don't know if he's a starter or not. Linebacker Swayze Bozeman. I'm curious. Maybe I'll look into this now really quickly. Put the Giants depth chart and see. But I'm curious if those two guys are starters. I know the center, John Michael Schmitz, is a starter. He's going to be out of this game with a concussion. And Austin Schlottman came in for him last week, former Bronco. Played really well in the time off, but doesn't necessarily in a pinch. But sometimes you see players kind of be able to come into games and just they're not thinking, they're just playing well. Maybe he struggles a little bit in terms of being the center, but he is a good veteran center that's going to be out there for them. But it looks like Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles and Swayze Boatman, I think both of those guys were reserve linebackers for them anyways. I don't know if they got hurt on special teams or in the limited times that they played, but they're not actually going to be starters there for them, which I guess is good news for the Giants. And it looks like same thing. Chauncey Golston, defensive lineman. Looks like same thing with him. Yeah, it looks like he's the backup pass rusher to Kayvon Thibodeau. So he's kind of an edge player as well. So these are more reserve guys. Really, the only starters are Darius Slayton and John Michael Schmitz. But we'll see, man. We'll see if if Abdul Carter does not play in this game. That's massive. That is massive because he hasn't necessarily lit up the stat sheet this year. I think he has a couple sacks. Let me see. But he's got he's got a whole bunch of pressures, and I think I saw a stat on him. It was like his average pressure rate, like from a time standpoint, is the second fastest behind Myles Garrett. So when he gets pressure, he gets it really, really quickly. But yeah, he only has a half a sack so far this season. But again, he's been disrupting games quite a bit. And so that would be able to be very helpful. It's one less pass rusher that's going to be coming after you that you have to account for. So we'll see. I don't think Abdul Carter will play. I mean, when you pop up on the injury report on Friday with a hamstring injury after been practicing, you make the assumption that he hurt his hamstring in practice on Friday. And hamstrings are not something that you want to mess with. So I don't think he's ultimately going to play, but we will see. Broncos coming into this game fairly healthy, and, except for the guard position where we're basically to our fourth left guard with Gargiulo getting injured as the reserve guy in preseason. Obviously, Ben Powers started getting hurt, and Matt Pert going on IR. We are down to Alex Polcheski, but again, this is actually a move that I feel like is an upgrade from Matt Pert last week, and I'm excited to see how Palcho holds it down. It's going to be a little sad not having the number 63 Palcheski is eligible chance at Empower Field this upcoming week, but we'll see who the extra lineman is going to be. I would love for it to be Frank Crum. I think it should have been Frank Crum for a long time. They talk about him being an elite run blocker, so he could help a lot with the run blocking. But it'll be good to get him some reps too, because we are at the point now where if any of our tackles go down, Frank Crum, very raw prospect, undrafted kid, is going to be a starter with, Palcho and all that happening. So we'll see. Interesting stuff there, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in, all you guys watching the live stream. I'm going to sign off. Excited about the game tomorrow. I might do a pregame live stream like I've been doing the last few weeks. If not, make sure you catch me and my buddy Jeremy Otten with Broncos Unbridled. We're going to do a post-game tomorrow, as we always do, to break down the game and talk about positives, the negatives, and everything in between. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy your Saturday, man, and take it easy. Go Broncos.